Hello and welcome. I'm going to be listening to myself a lot today. I'm making a commentary reel. That's not true. I haven't done this in a while. So, Evo requires that everybody submits a commentary reel in order to commentate Evo. You have to apply for it regardless of who you are, which is good. I commend that. I'm definitely in favor of that. But I kind of was a dick about it the last year or two. Maybe not very nice. The commentary reels that I sent in were literally just hyperlinks to the Evo YouTube channel and then to the Capcom Pro Tour YouTube channel. Here you go. I've been doing this for a billion years. It's me. It's kind of a jerk move, but they accepted it. This year, though, I do want to make something different. And I want it to be different, not just from that, which was terrible, but also from what other people tend to do. Or that is to say, I want to have multiple commentary reels. I want to have the serious one. I want to have the look at how many different games I commentate one. I want to have the look how well I work with all these different commentary partners one. And I want to have the jerky, non-serious joke one. I want to have the bad puns one. I want to have the I'm not always taking this serious one. I think that'd be pretty cool. But I don't have that. Oh, I'm still sick. Thanks. So there you go. Got a little throat issue going on. It's not super bad, but anyway. So I'd like to get this commentary reel going, and as a result, I spent all day listening to myself commentate. It was weird. It's a weird feeling. I mean, all these many years later, I've been doing this for 9 years, I think. Pretty wild. And in all that time, I've gotten accustomed to hearing my voice, but to spend a whole day searching through footage, looking for some interesting moments, weird. And like I said, since the last couple times I made a commentary reel, I just half-assed it. I didn't even half-ass it. I had 1/10 assed it to send a hyperlink to the YouTube of the Capcom Pro Tour, as if that's my commentary reel. I haven't listened to myself commentate in a prolonged, serious way in a while. And while I was doing that, what up, baby? While I was doing that, I thought, you know what? I should get back into critiquing myself commentating. That's something that I did for a while. I would make little videos called Commentary on Commentary and analyze myself commentating. I always found that helpful, but I haven't done that in a while. I don't know. It's been a couple years maybe. I'm definitely at an age where you can just say, yeah, a while, 2 years. Should probably have been doing that, but I haven't done it in a while. So I just figured hey, I'll stream myself looking for some interesting moment, because I don't remember anything. I have a terrible memory when it comes to commentating to tournaments. Dude, we had on Ultra 10 show, we had Gerald Abraham come on and talk about how the FGC was in the early 90s. And he'd be talking about who beat whom in 1992. And I don't remember that stuff from last month. I have to look that stuff up always. And it's the same when it comes to me commentating. I have this feeling in my mind that, oh, I did a good job commentating at that event. Oh, I screwed up commentating this other event. I have a general feel, but dude, I don't remember what I said at all. That's hard. I feel like that's very hard. So what I think Damascus recommended was to, after you get done with a commentary stint, take notes on what happened there, and then that's easier to then make a commentary reel later, or maybe even to help you figure out what your issues are and address them. I think that's a very good idea. I'm planning to do that. And starting at final round next weekend, I will be doing that. But I don't have that for now, so I'm literally going back through old tournaments and just listening. It's super tedious. Super tedious. This is from Evo Japan 2018. And I'm just going to listen here. This is, I believe, me and James commentating. And I just want to see what's up. Did we do a good job or not? I think this is just pools. Like, I don't remember any particularly interesting moment coming out of that time. Maybe there was. I don't know. But I don't remember it. So I'm just going to, like, listen and see if anything was cool. And even if not, I'm going to critique myself. Let's go. Be a dick to me. Bam.
Can build their V-trigger up, V-trigger 3 up to just under full.
Oh yeah, I'm going to be pausing it a lot. And saying how bad a job I did, probably.
Activate V-trigger 2, EX SVD, and kill them before they get a V-trigger.
That's pretty wild,
I actually
dude.
think that's going to be a key strategy for him, to be honest with you.
I really like V-trigger too. You know, in estimation from...
One thing that I do a lot is to start speaking before I have the thought fully formed. That's something that I do all the time. And it's because I kind of expect that I'm going to have the thought ready. Even right now I'm doing that. I'm talking and I'm not really sure where the sentence is going to end up. You know, I probably... This is a good instance of how I do it. I'm just kind of rambling and I'm hoping that I'll end up at a good spot. I didn't this time. But that's just to say, like, I would like to not always do that. I think that's fine to do sometimes, and usually I can figure it out, and I'm walking down a path. The way that I think about this kind of... listen to this.
North America,
Oof.
I think that he's nerfed. I would say most of us think that he's nerfed overall, even considering V-trigger 2.
EX
Go back.
SVD and kill them before they get a V-trigger.
That's pretty wild,
I actually
dude.
think that's going to be a key strategy for him, to be honest with you.
I really like V-trigger too. You know, in
So this starts as the... Imagine that I come to a fork in the road, right? This is how I think about it in my head while I'm commentating in these situations. Sometimes, anyway. And I see the signpost says, all right, let's talk about V-trigger 2. And... okay, the other one is whatever else, right? So one sign is talk about V-trigger 2, and the other one is whatever, you know, listen to James, crack a joke, whatever it is. And then I start walking down V-trigger 2, and I don't know what's around the bend. Maybe I can't see, maybe it like goes way up, and I have to like crane up, whoa, what am I going to talk about? Or maybe it's going to like go over a little valley, and now I have to like kind of walk down the path. I don't know what's down there, I can't see it yet. That's how I feel a lot of the time. But I kind of feel that I'm a good enough hiker that I can get where I need to go. You know, I can, and even if the path isn't like very obvious, what if it's like barely there, right? It's like a small animal path, not very well hiked. I feel like I'm a good enough tracker that I can figure it, I can follow it. But I don't know that creates, that's not maybe good enough. Maybe I should need more. We'll see.
the estimation from...
This is going to take forever. I'm going to get through. My intention before I started this was like, all right, hey, I have to listen to myself commentate. Why don't I just commentate myself commentating? This is going to be easy. I'll get through this in a blast. And it's been 18 seconds of actual talk time.
Nerfed. I would say most of us think that he's nerfed overall, even considering V-Trigger 2. But, and I think that's the case here. People think that he's nerfed. But, you know, some people's tier lists still have him in A. Still in a good spot. So we'll see. I certainly don't think that
early season 3 when we had no idea. Isn't this always fun to look back and see like what you thought about stuff? Yesterday I was also listening to things from Street Fighter V season 1 and just talking about conceptions of stuff. Like, I think Mika seems pretty good. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe she'll get figured out. And then she actually got better than that at the end of the season. And I also caught myself saying, wow, Ken is so good. He might be the best character in the game. Like, you know, just...
You know, I don't think he's been nerfed into the
things that in retrospect don't make a ton of sense. But it's just fun to look back on that like that.
I really feel like that's going to be a key strategy in season 3.
I mean, Tim,
I'm wondering if people are going to
you got to do some stuff off the cuff for sure. And I definitely don't want to just always be prepared in advance. I guess what I'm saying more is that before I start hiking down the trail, I'd like to have an idea of what the end of it is, rather than just kind of snaking around trying to find what the end of that sentence is going to be. I want to have an idea. So that's not to say that I'm not like improving or whatever. I have an end goal. I feel like that's useful.
They are just going to take throws.
I don't know.
Even in the corner,
it's something we already saw, right? If a Cammy's mid-screen pressuring you, you take the grab, right? That's existed since season 1.
Wow.
That's the only thing is that applies to more characters now.
Right, and it applies in the corner.
And in the corner as well to many
Right.
characters.
Yeah,
Not all,
so-
but many.
All right.
So looks
Take
like we're
the
gonna get
throw.
going here.
And here we go with the new, beautiful golden themed UI for season 3. I really wonder if it all has to do with G.
We're all wondering that.
You know, because G.
We were
you
such
know,
babies.
when he was
We
a
had no
young
idea what was
kid,
coming.
His arm is like kind of gold, and he's like a president or something like that. Like, does he just have a lot of money? But
By the way, that's still as good a summation of G as I can come up with. He's a guy who looks gold, and is he a president? I don't know.
So, of course, Rashid Formoke, who already was so good with that character, and then many of us think that he's really super good now. I was wondering if Jobin would go back to Ryu, but I guess not. It's going to be Nikali.
all right, sticking with the collar.
Wait, did I think Ryu was good? Hold on.
So good with that character, and then many of us think that he's really super good now. I was wondering if Jobin would go back to Ryu, but I guess not. It's going to
Why
be
would you
Nikali.
wonder that? What a
All right,
dingus.
sticking with the collie here. So Nikali, of course, his V triggers didn't change much. He just got a new move in V Trigger 1 and V Trigger 2, and Jobin went with V Trigger 2. He gets the little scream where he throws out the little stationary fireball.
Honestly, I couldn't have told you which one of Nikali's V-triggers is the little, like, barf projectile and which one is the stomp. I have no idea. I've only ever seen Nikali's pick one V-trigger, and so I just don't even think about his V-trigger options. You know, like, I think about other characters' V-triggers. Oh, which ones are they going to go with? Like, there's a question for at least some characters. Nikali, I've literally never thought about which V-trigger he would pick, because it's categorically and 100% the little barf one, and I guess that's number 2.
Yeah, I think a lot of Nikali's
Whatever.
think that that's kind of where the juice is right now.
Yeah, I
So
guess
that's good that there's some
number 1 is stomp,
possibilities of this kind of
apparently.
cool move.
I just have
Well, I've always liked Moke's movement. I think he's super strong in movement with this character, although a little bit off the marks right there.
What's interesting is he has gone with V Trigger 1. You know, we just talked about how V Trigger 2 was considered so strong. Oh, he tried to get out of the corner with the EX Eagle Spike. Oh, there you see.
Dang, he used it.
V Trigger 2. All right.
Moke ready for that.
Gets the anti-air now, trying to apply a little bit of pressure, but Jobin with a decent life lead and then gets a crush counter.
Woo! He tried to stick it out again. The V-trigger, no. Wow, jab. Okay, he saw Moke overextend just a little bit.
All right, yeah, I guess this is fine. I don't have any big criticisms of that round of commentary. I thought that I gave James plenty of time to talk. Like, that's something I always want to make sure that I'm doing. I want to make sure that my co-commentator is also highlighted. I never want to, like, run all over them, unless it's, you know, sometimes people aren't keeping up their end of the bargain, right, as co-commentator. That's rare. That's especially most of the people who are doing commentary nowadays. That's rare, but sometimes it happens, and in that case, fine, you gotta run over them. But typically, I want to, like, give them plenty of time. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That was fine, I guess. Whatever.
Round 1 to Jobin.
I wouldn't say it was a remarkable round of commentary. I didn't catch myself being like, wow, nice job, pass, David, but it's
Can
okay.
you imagine a tournament where Moke, top 8, Capcom Cup, and Evo Finisher goes to the loser's bracket in round 1?
That man went for the reset off of jump pierce. Okay. Yeah.
Definitely happened here at Evo Japan.
Hey,
you know?
okay. They're trading these.
I love
So
it.
far, I love Jobin's game. I really like his spacing. I like his decision making. His stand jab and the last round was key.
Yeah, this is fine. I'm not going to be 100% with stuff, right? So it's like if you're playing a fighting game, you want to have good execution. You want to nail as many combos as you can get. It's unrealistic to think that you're going to get 100%. So for me, when I was growing up, I stuttered not a ton. It wasn't horrible, but more than most people I knew. And as I've gotten older, I've kind of gotten over that through various ways. But I do find myself, like, repeating a word a lot. And I've been trying to deal with that and get away from that, because that's not ideal. But it's not the worst, right? Could be worse, I guess. But I noticed myself doing that a few times in this round so far. And even just while I'm talking right here, I've noticed myself doing it. It's hard to not do that at all. But I'd like to minimize it.
Something that Moke is going to have to remember, look for in the future.
Oh, wow, he got him with the anti-air. I thought that was going to be too close. I thought he was going to go under. But good distancing for Jobin, but still stuck in the corner. Hasn't been able to get out. There we go. An EX uppercut is going to allow him to get out.
He has not wanted to do V reversal at all. Looking for the juggle here. Yes, continuing corner pressure. Trying to press buttons again. It was the same idea. This time, though, Moke got him with the sand strong.
I could tell at the end of that, when I was like, this time, okay, I didn't have anything in mind. I think. I mean, I don't remember that moment, but in hearing myself commentate and like knowing kind of how I approach it, I think I was just like, okay, and then I was like, I gotta say something. The rest of the sentence needs to happen. I can't just cut it off there. And I came up with the rest of it. I think that's what happened right there. So again, that's not what I want. That's not what I want. I want to have a better idea of what I'm gonna say beforehand. I didn't right now. I didn't have an idea of how that sentence was gonna end. So anyway, this is something I gotta work on. How do I feel about cutting off someone on a tangent because the match is getting crazy? You gotta do it, dude. If that I would say is the biggest moment that I cut people off, for sure. It's rare that I cut people off, just in general, while I'm commentating. I don't want to do that. Like I said, I want to have my co-commentator also be highlighted, and so I'm not trying to like run over them. But if the opponent, I kind of think of the co-commentator as the opponent sometimes, like I'm playing a match, you know. If the co-commentator is kind of rambling about something that happened 10 seconds ago and it's not as important, and in the meantime something very important happened, gotta cut him off. Gotta cut him off for sure. Yeah, you have to be good about thinking about what is more important at any one time, and I think that's a big part of commentary, of learning. Excuse me, of learning how to do a better job at commentary. I often hear people who are kind of on the come up or haven't like figured it all out yet. Well, nobody's figured it all. You know what I mean? I often hear them do that. So yeah. Anyway, James and I have been commentating together for so long that we kind of know when the other person's going to finish a sentence or go on for too long. We can kind of get a feel for it nowadays. Do I study these characters or just wing it? I mean, I definitely study the games, for sure. And I only commentate games that I feel that I'm knowledgeable about. I wouldn't put myself out there to commentate a game I didn't feel like I knew a bunch about. I haven't done that since, like, mid-Marvel 3. And it didn't go well when I did it. That's why I stopped. I was clearly not working out. I could tell. That's why I commentate... What did I commentate last year? Not that many games, to be honest. I commentated SF5... and Injustice 2, and Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle, and Third Strike. I think that might have been it the entire year. I'm trying to think now. Really might have been it. But that makes sense because those three are the games that I follow the closest right now. There was even an opportunity where somebody wanted me to commentate MKX. And I used to know that game very, very well, but I haven't even watched it. I haven't played it. I haven't watched it since Injustice 2 came out. So I said, no, I don't think I do a good job. You should have, I don't remember who it was. This might have been Vianality. And I know that like everybody else who was there has been playing MK, but I preferred Injustice 2 over Mortal Kombat X. So I haven't played that game in a long time. So I was like, look, you should just have Ketchup and Mustard or whoever it was commentate instead. I don't want to do games that I don't know. It's not a good idea. I did KI Cup. Yeah, I mean, at the time I was, when was that? Is that 2016, 2017 maybe? At the time I had been playing a lot of Killer Instinct. So I felt, while that was not the game that I knew best at that moment, I felt confident about doing that. I didn't feel like I was biting off more than I could chew. Wow, what a question. Why did I keep saying, let's go Ricker, during the CPT match? There may have been beer involved. May have been more than one beer involved. There might have been a 6-pack involved during that top 8. I wasn't commentating it, and I knew that. So it was fun.
With the proper timing on the meaty.
Who do I think will commentate Samurai Showdown? I don't even know. That's a great question. Hell Pockets is maybe a good one. I think he likes SNK games. But I have no idea. I don't know. I mean, I'll give it a look. And if I like it, then I'll play it. And if they'll have me, then I'll commentate it. But I'm not expecting that. Well, we'll see. Gibby would be good. That would make sense.
All right, so Moki making the right choice there, starting off with pressure.
Oh, that button still as good as ever. Touching heavy punch.
Yikes.
A little bit more whiff punishable, but
what a wild
if
man.
you connect with it, of course, very good.
Chasing him down off of that back roll. Nice catch with the sweep and then a little
so
bit
close.
Yeah, a little
Can he
bit
get the
of a
bells? He went for his own DP, and that's he was there in the corner. He's gonna get close, not quite.
shimmy. Okay, goes for a just a setup and goes for the proper meaty, and there it is.
Can you not do Fierce Dragon Punch to end that? Or would that not do as much damage? I don't remember. As I'm talking about how much I know about this game, it's funny. Hey, Olaf, that'd be great. I'd love to see you do that. I did get lucky. That's true. That's true. I did get lucky with whether that would kill or not. I'm not really worried about saying whether something's going to kill or not. I feel like that's not... It's not very material either way. I don't even know if it's worth pointing out, like while I'm on commentary, that this is or is not going to kill. James likes to do it now because he's like known for saying, "Is it gonna kill?" And now he's trying to play that up, right? I don't really care about that myself, so whatever. James, I'll let James do that for the most part. But I did get lucky there.
James,
Game number 1 to Jobin.
in answer to your question, yes, I can definitely imagine a situation where top 8 at Evo USA Moke goes out in losers in the first round. Of course I can imagine that.
I honestly don't have major critiques so far. It's kind of disappointing. I was hoping I'd be able to blow myself up a little bit. And I also don't want to say that I'm doing a perfect job because that's not accurate either. I stuttered a little bit. I repeated myself just a little bit. I felt that I got lucky in a couple of ways. But yeah, not the worst.
So many strong players here. Jobin, not a player who gets to travel so much, but still of the highest pedigree.
Excuse
and
me.
as you can see, able to pull out some of the wild stuff like a meaty uppercut for the stun.
Well, it's a common thing that Rashids will press buttons in that situation. Shorts are so good. Jobin know that.
What did I just say?
That Rashids will press buttons in that situation. Shorts are so good. Jobin know that.
What was that? I don't know what happened there.
Well, it's a common thing that Rashids will press buttons in that situation. Shorts are so good. Jobin know that.
Okay. Why? I wonder why that happened. I don't know. I guess I'm not sure. Just screwed up on the old execution.
Can't combo into sweep anymore. That is a nerf on there. Before you would combo into a sweep at that range, but it does not work anymore. Oh, great patience from Jobin.
Love this spacing right here by Moke. Jobin, excellent blocking, just great defense. It's not all wild uppercuts.
Ooh, what a call out. Back dash, escape the command throw. So here we go, back to the corner position again. Oh, he tried to jump, it looked like, and got hit during his pre-jump frames.
Yeah, that was basically worst case scenario for Jobin there. Moke again, great pressure.
One way to deal with saying fewer things on repeat like that, like, whoops.
Scenario for Jobin there.
No, it was before that.
Hit during his pre-jump frames.
Yeah, that was basically worst case.
That right there. That was. One way to deal with that is the same way that I deal with having grown up kind of stuttering in general and like doing it less nowadays, which is just to make sure that I know what the words I'm gonna say are like in advance, at least the first few, even if it's not right there, even if it's not a situation where I don't know where I'm gonna end up. To know the first few words of a sentence is like executionally useful. You know what I mean? Like in order to like execute the pronouncing of the words, you got to know what you're gonna say. So I kind of jump in a lot into what I'm gonna talk about without. So I have a thought. It's not completely wild. I have a thought. I don't have the words. Okay? So I know kind of conceptually what I'm going to say. I haven't written the paragraph yet. I haven't written it out in my mind. And even if I don't need to write the whole paragraph first, it's helpful to have a few words. Bam.
Scenario for Jobin there. Moke again, great pressure. Started off quickly.
Marvel commentary is not that much harder. I've always found that it's not that much harder. in Marvel, things happen quickly, but there's a lot of downtime also. Not downtime if you're a player, but downtime if you're a commentator or a viewer. So in Marvel, like there's maybe chaos going on in the neutral game, but then if somebody finds a hit, the next 10 seconds, 20, depending on the character or combo, are kind of downtime. You know, you don't have much to say. It's the same lightning loop you've seen a trillion times, right? It's the same combo you've mostly seen. It's rare to see somebody have an entirely novel combo. And even if you do, the second time you see it, it's no longer like, wow, that was cool. It's whatever else is going on. So, yeah, to be a narrator in Marvel is not that easy. But I feel the commentary overall is not that difficult because you do have a lot of time. Do you think it's bad to ask the co-commentator questions like, what do you think of this matchup? I do not think that it's bad. However, I do think that it's something to be limited. If it's a new game, if it's a new character, if it's a character that they themselves play a lot, and you know that, then maybe that's useful. Or if it's the audience that's different, maybe that's useful. So for this one, Evo Japan, honestly, I don't know what I would expect out of the viewership. I don't know if it's people who really know what's up or not. It's a good question. It's not like regular Evo for sure. So in regular Evo, I always I'm dumbing things down. You know, I'm not keeping them at as high a level as I otherwise would because I know that there's a lot of people watching who aren't as high up on everything. So I'd like to keep them in it. I'd like to educate them a little bit. So in those instances, I ask more. What do you think about this character? What do you think about this matchup? Or honestly, that's usually James asking me that if we're commentating together. So that's fine. But if I'm commentating with somebody else, then I'll ask them, or maybe they'll ask me, depending, right? So I feel the answer to that question is kind of a mix of your situation and your audience. It can definitely also be a tactic to kill dead air. I agree with that too. And yeah, exactly why Yipes goes on tangents and sets up jokes and stuff. Because there's not a lot going on during a lot of times, commentary-wise, when it comes to Marvel. That is for sure. Damn.
See if you can get the same thing. Well, he wanted 4-1 at the start. A little bit of patience now from Jobin. Very interesting to see how Jobin will switch it up. Sometimes jumping, sometimes doing meaty-ish DPs, right? Sometimes just blocking for extended periods. Oh, hit Kenny has not been thrown off. Even though Moke's escaped the last 2 or 3.
Jump attack right in. Oh yeah, EX Eagle Spike is something you always got to watch out for. Rashid's used that a lot of times just to get out of the corner.
Alright, Jobin. Here's Moke now. Can you get anything this time?
Ooh,
The defense
dude,
from
how
Jobin
did you know
here!
which way to block, and he gets a crush counter heavy
It's pretty
kick.
legit defense, gotta say.
God, the size of
Ooh,
the spike,
punish.
Yeah, that's punishable, but not huge punish. Oh, crush counter.
Big chance now for Moke. Corner carry, super important. He went for it again!
He baited him out this time. Okay.
One too many times right there for Jovian. But again, the fact that he's not always doing that, there are, as I said, some extended periods of blocking too. That's really trying to set the mix-up into Moke's mind.
Yeah, there.
That was good. I thought the end of that was good. Another way to minimize repeating myself or stuttering is to just speak more slowly. Which makes sense, right? But my mind always wants to go fast. I want to talk and talk faster than my mouth can easily do. And so making myself talk more slowly is not that easy, especially in the heat of a moment in kind of a big commentary situation. It's hard sometimes to slow down. I want to talk fast. Talking fast is very useful on commentary. It's not a bad idea. But if it's not one of those moments where I need to talk quickly, or if it's not like a set of words that I can easily say quickly, I don't know that I can come up with anything. I just did it. That's cool. That was perfect. While I was saying I couldn't come up with anything where I can talk fast, I did it. So if it's that kind of thing and it doesn't feel like I'm going to stumble, then that's fine. But in general, I think I'd like to talk more slowly. And at the end there, I did do that. So that's cool. Yeah, but it is... That was at the end, right? Where I was kind of slowing things down? I think so.
Too many times right
Yeah.
there for Jobin.
Yeah. So this is not a situation where I need to keep up. It's not a... Things are happening constantly. Narrate. Keep up, whatever. It's... Rashid just won. Now I can talk slowly. It doesn't matter. I have time to fill until the next round starts. I'm not going to lose my place. So that's
Again,
fine.
the fact that he's not always doing that.
Oh, I totally agree that Keats is an underrated commentator. He was good.
That's really trying to set
He was good.
himself into
I wish
Moke's mind.
there's good reasons that he doesn't do it
A
anymore.
technique right there. You
I
can
get it,
delay
but
your
he was good
movement
for sure.
A little bit, so that if they do wake up uppercut, you block. So you just kind of hit the button a little bit late, but then that's when the opponent can get away with wake up jabs and wake up light punches and light kicks.
Ooh, okay.
Okay.
Sudden strike right there. Moke in.
Counter hit combo. Yep, has the anti-air spinning mixer all ready to go. Oh, he's gonna be able to juggle off that.
The
Yep.
conversion there. Very close to stun. Is this it? It is.
Yeah, and he goes for the back throw to do extra stun. Oh, that was nice setup. Make sure that he can build extra meter while switching sides.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dang, this is a
Okay,
blow-up.
He got it. Looking for the wake up jab there.
and the
I tried at the
block.
end of that round, I think, to slow it down again. And
Oh,
He
okay.
got it. He got
yeah,
it.
even still, I had
Wake
the
up
little
jab there.
repetitive part.
And the bright golden perfect KO on the screen now. They definitely let you know you got perfected in season.
Commentating with Rip is hard? No, I don't think so. I think Rip is a good commentator. Whoa, I should ask, why do you think he might be hard? Oh, he speaks quickly? Does he speak particularly fast? I don't know. I don't remember. I guess that's not my conception of him. I try to think about, as I said before, commentators as being like matchup opponents. Even though it's cooperative, obviously. But that's kind of my philosophy on it. So I try to keep like categorized sort of conceptions of commentators in the same way that I do for players. This player is a nut. This player is slow. This player likes to do X or Y in A or B situation. So my conception of Rip is not that he's a super wild, fast commentator. But I haven't commentated that many times with him. Maybe fewer than you might think, to be honest. So we've done it, but it's been a while. We tend to do different games. But he's good. I like him. Bam. Oop. You wish he'd lose the sound effect? He can't lose the sound effect, dude. That's his thing. He can't lose it.
That's punishable, yep.
Got a little bit. Ah, these anti-airs are on point.
All right, Moke looking real strong now. Oh, too far.
That was a
He tried
sick
to
whiff
counter
punish.
with his own sweep to get some distance, to get the knockdown and get out of the corner. Oh,
Was that on purpose, James? Do you think?
was that a V
Was it-
reversal or?
That's what I feel probably was, but I don't
But
know.
I mean, it's the other button, I think, right? Oh, I can't remember now. Anyway,
That's something to be avoided. You don't need to say on commentary something that excuse me, that you're not sure of the answer to before you start talking. This is something I keep going back to. You should know where you're going before you start walking down the path. Especially if it's something that is like game information related. You could definitely say something like, hey, is his V reversal with punches or kicks to your other comments? You can say that. But what I don't like to do is go out on the limb and then try to like crawl my way back to the trunk of the tree. I want to make sure that if somebody's got to go out on the limb, it's the other one, right? Hey, do you remember whether it's punches or kicks? That's not very nice, I guess, but that's what I tend to do. Do I say, oh yeah, a bit too much? Let's see. Is that in this? Or is that just as a general?
just missed with the seismo again.
He really waited.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just surprised at how far behind.
In general, okay, I'll keep an eye on that. Thanks.
Yeah.
It's definitely good to not have the same thing that you go back to. I used to do that more often. And interestingly, like there are times when I find that I kind of get in a rut. I get in a word rut. This hasn't happened in a while because I've been paying attention to it for the last several years. But when I began commentating, I often found that at any particular tournament, there'd be like some word that just kept stuck in my mouth, and I just couldn't get away from it. And even sometimes it was super weird. Sometimes it wasn't even something obvious. It would be like a weird, kind of obscure adjective that I didn't need to say at all, that I would just keep going back to, and it would just be like, why can't I think of, it'd be something bizarre, like I'd use the word enormous instead of the billions of great synonyms that you have for something of bigger size in English. I just say enormous. Why don't you just say big or huge or Brobdingnagian? There's so many words in English for that, and I just would get stuck. So once I realized that, I kind of paid attention to it better, and I feel that I do it less often. But dude, for sure, you know what? You're right. I can do that. In fact, I half did it right here, didn't I? When someone does the thing, I go, oh yeah, I think you're right. Okay. It's hard, right, to keep up the train of different adjectives. That's not that easy. But it is weird if if you're going in hard on a weird word. I mean, enormous is not maybe a weird word, but it's part of such a giant list of potential words I could be using that's like, why would you pick that one of all the different choices? I do hear other commentators doing this sometimes. I think it's less common nowadays than it once was, but I hear some saying things, ending sentences with right a lot. I hear some ending sentences with here or there a lot. Part of it is that you want to offload some brain power. I really think that's a big part of it. It's easier to just have like a trope that you end up with, you know? So if you could keep talking while you don't really have to think about what you're saying, you can then think about the next thing. So if you always end a sentence in right or here or there or whatever, though that's a period of time, as fractional as it is, where you don't have to think about it, right? You can just, right? It's easy. But that doesn't make for interesting listening. It doesn't make for good commentary. It's just an easier way to talk. Exactly. It's a way to continue to gather thought, for sure. And it is a filler. It's not that big of a deal in most situations, but if you're trying to talk to a lot of people all at once, then it's not a good way to come across. It doesn't add much. I don't know that many people even think about it. I feel like it's probably just something that even as a listener, you're like not invested in. Doesn't matter to you either way that much. But you could be, as the commentator, you could be doing more. You could be improving. You could not be doing the same thing over and over again. And it's not easy, but that's a goal to shoot for. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the longer that they are, the more helpful it is. I remember this is probably in maybe freshman year of college, I took political philosophy was what I basically majored in. And so we were taking philosophy class, and the professor was talking about how ancient Greek storytellers and philosophers would talk and they would tell stories. And he said that these tropes were really important. This is why I think about it in these terms, because of the professor all these millions of years ago. He said that the way that they talked was that they had a story, but that they had these little phrases that they could just insert at any one point, and that would kind of allow them to gather their thoughts for the next phase of the story. Because it's all just oral, right? It's just an oral tradition at that point. It's not written down. So as a storyteller, you either have to have just the absolute greatest memory of all time, and you have to constantly be aware of what you're saying, which is not easy to do, Or you could like offload a little bit of your brain power to this trope that that gets you through the next half minute, and then then during that time while your mouth is talking, you're actually thinking about what you're next gonna say, and that's it's useful, especially if you're telling a story in that way. But that's not something that I want to do on commentary very often. Yeah, not as short, as and so the story goes. No, what he said. I mean, I'm no expert. This is how my professor phrased it: was that it was a longer way to talk. That it added substantial time. I don't know. And ancient Greece. I don't know.
There we go.
Okay.
But I've always thought about that as a way to improve.
Oh, and Moke says, "No, sir, I will not be sent to losers bracket in first round here at Evo Japan."
It's not necessarily about eliciting a response from the listener. I mean, these little fillers in time, that's not really what it's about. It's about giving you as the speaker more time to think about what's coming next. And from the listener's perspective, it's often not a big downer. It doesn't negatively impact the speech or the story very much, because it's I mean, should be at least not so repetitive as to get obnoxious, and it should add at least a little something, or it shouldn't be just a complete throwaway in these longer examples. But it is better to continuously have new things to say. It's like seeing someone playing patiently in neutral, occasionally whiffing buttons. What a way to phrase it. Maybe a more accurate way to say it is that it's a frame kill. It's a frame kill timing. So you get a knockdown, you want to do like a tricky cross-up mix-up or whatever, you know. This is not such a big thing in SF5, but in SF4 maybe. You want to do an unblockable. And to get that exact timing and spacing, you have a set number of buttons that you whiff, and that puts you in exactly that right spot. So you could have just the mental faculty and hand execution timing to just do it. You can just do an unblockable. You don't need these timers, but it's helpful to have them. That allows you to get to the next thought. You don't have to be as invested in that moment because you just have it set up in your brain. This is what I'm going to do next. Meanwhile, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do after this unblockable hits, right? What's my next thing? But these are all sort of fillers that you don't need to be as like mentally aware of during that time.
Try to keep up my streak of top 8 finishes in all the majors that I've been to, and he's off to a good start here.
Oh my god.
Finishes.
What time is it? Am I awake over here?
Been to, and he's off to a good start
It's Japan, I guess.
That was a big test, though.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big test. For Jobin.
Wow. Not a great look right
what
there.
He did, but yeah, he's gonna have to go through loser's side. It looks like they are updating the pools live.
Oh, nice.
And in winners finals.
Actually, you know what may have happened here? I don't remember which day this was, but Evo Japan, we were staying not very close to the venue. We had to take the subway to get there. And one of the mornings, I guess it was the first one because the second day I knew what to do, so it was probably this morning. I didn't know where to go, and I thought I did, and I got on the wrong train, going the wrong direction, and it took me a while to figure out where I was going, what I should do instead. I barely got to commentary in time. In fact, I got there late. I was supposed to have commentated with, I think, Ski Sonic at the start, and I just missed it. I just missed that block entirely. I think it was Ski. Was he there? Anyway, it was somebody. And anyway, so that's probably why I look so disheveled. I was just like running around Japan
Side of it, apparently
for like
arranged. It's going to be
an hour.
WP Rumors of Ghosts.
Rumors of ghosts, huh? Okay, okay.
And we'll see if Moke now will play against Aoma, and we'll see what happens there.
Okay.
But
I often have this urge to rip on people's names, to rip on their commentary, on their player names. Like, what's the story with this dude's? What's it?
WP Rumors of Ghosts.
I don't remember this specifically, but I feel like I must have thought, should I joke about this? Probably
Rumors
not.
of ghosts,
You know,
huh? Okay, okay.
that's probably what that
See
face
if,
was.
Moke now will play against Aoma, and we'll see what happens there.
No, I was
But
not a
if
fan
you
of
go to
Strong Zero, to be
Strategy
honest.
And click on Evo Japan, click on Street Fighter 5 or whichever game you want to follow. You'll find the brackets there, and they are.
I'm not saying that's a bad name. I think that actually is kind of cool, but
The
there's
pools here. So when
you could
go
come
look
up with
at the
jokes
pool,
about
for
it.
example, on average, how many players would you say is in each pool here? We can see, looks like 8, 9, 10, like 9-ish,
Yeah,
10-ish.
yeah.
9-ish, 10-ish players per pool. Okay, good stuff. All right, so we've
How to fill time. This is the biggest question when it comes to fighting game commentary. Probably any commentary, I guess. It's such an integral part of knowing how to commentate, but it's never super easy. You'll often notice that people, once they go through periods of time of not talking, the next phrase that they say will be something like, okay, meh, all right, meh. Some kind of affirmation. I'm here, let's talk now again, rather than just going into the thing.
looks like 8, 9, 10, like 9-ish, 10-ish.
Yeah.
9-ish, 10-ish players per pool. Okay, good stuff.
James is...
All right, so we've had our first Street Fighter AE match here in
All right.
the inaugural Evo
So-
Japan. Still very surreal.
I really try not to do
That
that.
it's happening. I'm very excited by it all.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Very, very cool. So
Part of what I'm doing right here, if I were to guess, is that I think my like guess is that James has something to say. Just the way he's talking, I don't know. I mean, obviously he's filling for time, but like,
that we're here, that it's happening. I'm very excited by it all.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
but that I feel like that was a way to like set up. Okay, I'm excited because here's what's coming next. Players to watch for. It's the first Evo in Japan. Like, there's a lot to say. So as I lean back in the chair here and look at him,
Very, very cool. So, of course, I'm going to spend a little bit of extra time here in Japan afterwards. Gonna
okay, cool.
have a
Good.
chance to look around.
But like that's my thought process right there. Is he has marked this out as being his time to talk? Cool. I just got here. I'm tired. I was running through Japan for a while. So you talk. Cool with me.
Yeah.
Gotta let him do it.
some more places and try to hit up Hey Arcade one night maybe for that 10 yen Super Turbo sessions.
That's so cool.
Yeah, dude, we went to Hey Arcade and it's like
Not a flattering spot to stop. The struggle of being on camera and the other person's talking and you're just sitting there trying not to look stupid. Well, I sympathize with that, but people aren't looking at you when you're not the one talking. Maybe most are not. Maybe some are. But most are just looking at the person talking. So that's not... While I get the feeling of being uncomfortable while you're just sitting there, it's kind of weird maybe, you're not the focus.
like you cannot not find a fighting game there. Like every fighting game
very
I
diverse.
felt like you could possibly want to play was there.
Very
you
diverse.
know?
And as well as a lot of non-fighting games too. There's just a ton of different games there.
Yeah, it was very cool. That of course is in Akihabara, which we got to walk around a little bit.
Yeah, we did.
Visited Super Potato Store where they had a lot of like old school games.
So there's multiple things you can do to fill time. The easiest one, I feel like the most practical one, is just to be prepared. It's to like have thoughts in advance. So you don't need to always be off the cuff. And I try to do that, coming into tournaments thinking like, hey, if there's downtime, what do I do? This tends not to be like something I spend a lot of time thinking about, but I like to like have an idea. Okay, I'll talk about pools for a while. That'll last me for a while. I'll talk about cool matches I saw. That'll last me for a little while. If the co-commentator cracks a joke, cool. I'll keep it going. If something funny just happened, cool. You crack jokes about it, right? You sort of just have ideas. If there's nothing left, then I'm having a great time here at X tournament in Y city. This is my favorite country or state. Whatever, Something like that. So James's choice here is to go for how he's enjoying Japan so far. And I think that's reasonable. This is Evo Japan. It's the first one. It's the first time either of us have been in Japan. So it's on our mind. Maybe this is not the best use of time. Maybe a better use of time would be to talk about the event, but I get it, and I don't think it's a bad choice necessarily. Yeah, player roots is a big part of it for sure. But in pools, you can talk about which players in which pools. I think I was doing that earlier. I think that's a good thing to talk about. But you don't yet have like the root. Once you're in semis or top 8 or whatever, then you got a lot to talk about. You got a lot of results that have happened. And you know the roots and you can find that. And I highly suggest that anybody who commentates should have a tablet or even just on your phone, have the brackets up there. Like, know what happened or have a way to find out what happened. Bam.
And things like
That's
that,
right, yeah.
You know, visit like the Kotobukiya stores and everything like that. So.
But yeah. Oh, hello. It is true that it's easier to fill dead air if you... Hey, come on, buddy. If you have somebody you like, or if you have like a friend, if you have somebody you have some chemistry with, that's easier. But I don't feel that you should need that. I feel like your job in part should be... Wow, come on. I feel that your job in part should be to know how to deal with it, like to continue to talk anyway, even though you like don't. I mean, you're not gonna hate anybody you're commentating with, but even if you don't have like an existing relationship, I feel like you should be able to do that. That's like part of the gig.
I bought something there.
Yeah, I
What
know.
happened?
I went all the way to Japan.
I am doing a good job so far of restraint right now. I have not like gone crazy, but who knows what'll happen during the course of this next week. So
I went all the way to Japan, went to a famous Japanese sort of statue and memorabilia store. I bought Harry Potter chopsticks.
Gryffindor.
Gryffindor.
Yes.
That's right.
I don't know why I picked that to tell. That story is for my now wife. I bought her Harry Potter chopsticks in Japan. Before I went to Japan, I was like, look, I'm going to Japan. What do you want me to get you? Like, I should bring something back. But there's so many things that I could bring back. Like, what should I bring? And she was like, I don't care about video games or anime, so I don't know. That was her response. She was just like, I don't know, whatever, I don't care. But she's a big Harry Potter fan, so that's why I got her that. Why did I pick that story to tell on the air, though? I have no idea. Not a good choice.
Awesome. Yeah.
Could have been better.
I mean, like, I haven't seen a lot of like the fighting game figures yet. You know what I mean? Like, I think we just didn't hit a lot of the right stores and everything like that. But like, I can't wait to go and to try to find all like the fighting game figures.
See that head nodding right there? That is me shutting down. I don't care what he's saying right now. I don't care about video game statues or whatever. He's super stoked. That's cool. I'm trying not to be bored about it. I'm trying not to appear as though I'm bored. But man, internally I'm like, ugh, next topic.
Figures and things like that. Final Fantasy figures, all sorts of other.
Look at me. You know, I don't care at all.
You're looking forward to it, I can tell.
that laugh is the same one I'm doing right now, where I'm like, wow, that sounds horrible. I'm glad you enjoy it.
I'm excited.
Yeah, of course.
See what sort of wares I can bring back home.
It's the same laugh, man.
It looks like Yukadon is moving into winner semifinals of his pool. I think that's somebody who I'll expect to go far. Somebody who's had a ton of success on the international stage.
I also see Dev in there. Dev is one of the players who lives in the Philippines, helps run a lot of the Filipino tournaments that take place over there.
Mena RD has to play.
At the end of sentences, this is one of the things that I also try to avoid. I mean, I'm not 100% on these things either. I'm talking about James doing it, but I've certainly done this many times. Kind of trailing off and not having a good end to the sentence. Or not an end to the thought, maybe. Like he kind of trails off.
Over there.
That's not a strong way to end a sentence. Again, I've done this for sure. I don't mean to just pick on James. That kind of makes you think as the viewer, as the listener, like, what are you doing? You know, what's the point of you having talked just there? There's no conclusion. And you could easily avoid that as the person speaking. He could just have said not have said so. He could have said so, conclusory point. It's something that happens. It happens to me too, but it's definitely to be avoided.
Menardi has to play in his pool.
Don't take my boredom tech, or don't like figure it out. And now I'm gonna be commentating, and you're gonna be knowing. Oh my gosh.
He won.
Yes.
There were strong players there, and he won it. So he's already looked very good. Of course, having won Capcom Cup just last month.
And it's really interesting too, because looking at a lot of those tier lists, like people weren't talking about Birdie before.
Nobody talked. On Twitter, I said nobody was been talking about Birdie, and somebody was like, Japan's been talking about Birdie. And I specifically remember that in early season 2, I had a talk with I think it was Tokido, and I was like, hey, what do you feel about these characters? A couple of different characters. Oh, strong, not so strong. What do you think about Birdie? I don't know. It literally didn't have an opinion because
Right,
didn't see it often enough. So I don't know, man.
Hey, well, you know what? He's S tier, A tier to a lot of the players now. So
he's a good character. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
But he didn't even get buffed between season 2 and 3. He got a couple of nerfs, right? A little small.
The bald spot? I don't know what Saul Goodman is. Let's see. Oh yeah, from that television show. I haven't watched it. In any case, I am very happy to have that amount of hair that I have right there, and still do have, because about 5 years ago, I was starting to lose it, and it just stopped. And in fact, some hair came back, and my hair cutter was like, I've never seen that happen before. You were super lucky. And I was like, dang. So I'm very happy to have the amount that I do, and hopefully it'll remain forever.
Here and there.
Yeah,
We'll see.
EX grab is not throw invincible. Anti-air is a little bit better again, but same for many characters.
But the headbutt doesn't lean back as far anymore.
Right, the zonk.
And he stays closer to you now. So
Was it stress related? Probably not, but I don't know. I don't feel like I was more stressed at the time.
Right,
Yeah.
so.
Hard to
A
remember.
little bit farther forward, I think, so you can get through some more stuff. But
Doesn't
a
have
little
that
bit different.
counter hit pushback issue that it used to have.
So part of why I'm actually listening to this and not just skipping onto the match is that, like I said, this is one of the most important parts of being able to commentate. I feel like a lot of people can make a match interesting, or they have knowledge about what the characters do, hit the frame data, they maybe can narrate it. It's harder to fill time. That is, I feel that, for me anyway, it's the hardest thing about commentating is filling time. So in analyzing myself commentating, I don't want to skip over it. I feel like it's a really important part to look at. You got to know what to do in those situations.
So yeah, but a lot of people considering a very, very strong character now after Menardi had taken Capcom Cup. So.
Well, you know, it often
What a crock of crap, man. I'm telling you.
takes that. We talked about Akuma.
About Birdie.
That's true.
And although I think nobody thought he was bad at the start,
Right.
but not sure many people had him at like the top tier, which is where Tokido did, and Tokido showed it. I mean, what can you say? He won Evo, second place at Capcom Cup.
I always thought Tokido was like outside a top 10 before Evo, and then
Akuma.
Yeah, Akuma, and then Tokido was just like, oh, he's so good, he's so good, and I was like, I don't know, Tokido. I think you're kind of. But then he won Evo, and then I was like, okay.
I was the same as you.
So that's, of course, is one of the greatest things. That's why.
I do feel though that this should not be entirely the commentator's job. It would be helpful too if the person who was running the stream had other stuff. These are things I've talked with Tenno about and other people about. It'd be helpful too if they could make it visually more interesting. I think they have done a better job of this as time has gone on, by the way. I think they are doing a good job. To have a crowd cam and like pan the crowd during some period of time. Or maybe you go back to where the players are. Just take a look at that area. Even if there's nobody there, we can take a look at just visually, not one shot. It's not that I care so much about being on camera for this long of time. Whatever. It's more that as somebody watching, it becomes like visually less interesting. I'd like there to be like more to it. They've also brought in a replay team, so that's a way to sort of break it up and look at what happened before, and you can analyze it as the commentator, as the viewer. It's more interesting, right? I don't know. That's how it'd be nice to do that more often. That's hard, and that requires more money, and it's not something that everybody can do for sure. But ideally, That'd be good. Oh, almost never do we have the brackets to totally recap, or the graphics to recap brackets. Yeah, that's, excuse me, very rare in my experience. Sometimes, but I would say almost only in top 8. Almost only in top 8. It's something that I see Spooky do sometimes, like at NLBC, or Art does that, or you see it on Wednesday Night Fights sometimes too. But when it comes to big majors, people want, typically the streamers I should say, typically don't want to just like show Smash GG or show Challenge or whatever. They want it to be a little goosed up. So they tend not to want to actually put that on the screen. But I, you know, as the viewer, I would like that. That'd be cool with me. Oh, dude, as far as being able to talk for 3 hours, I think that initially I was not that great at that either, but I'm just so accustomed to it now, and there's ways around it. So I'm drinking water constantly, although part of that's because I'm sick, but it's something that I do anyway. I will bring honey to tournaments, or hope that somebody else brings honey, and use that as a way to soften up my throat a little bit. Like, that's a really nice way to coat it, and it feels better. If there's a coffee shop nearby, you know, you get some tea. Tea helps. But I would say the biggest thing is knowing just how to use your voice. So if there's a hype moment, you could deal with it, and you're gonna get loud, right? You're hyped for it. You want to get loud now. Not something you should do fakely, but like if you're interested, right? You're actually into it and hype. You could scream or whatever, and that hurts. That does hurt your throat. You can't keep that up for very long. But there's other ways to get loud, and you don't have to just scream, right? You can make your voice louder without doing that, or you could kind of, I don't know the words to this. I wish that I did, but kind of grind your voice a little bit so it's a little more gravelly. You know, that is a helpful way to be like, this is cool. This is a moment, right? I think that's called heightened voice, or maybe what I'm trying to discuss is heightened voice. I'm not an expert in that stuff. I probably should be. But yeah, I do, you know, I mean, you're a voice actor, dude. You should know what's going on. I try to like keep my diaphragm going. I don't know the words. I'm making this up, right? I'm like trying to breathe from my tummy, you know, things to like allow you to talk longer. I should know more about that, huh?
You know,
but I don't.
Obviously, at the start of a season, it's always exciting because you can get to see a lot of new kind of things, and
yeah, honey's super helpful.
Theory fighter, like we were talking about, but it's just awesome to see how the game advances during the course of the year, how it matures and how it develops and everything. You know, I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with this, especially with the decisions between V-Trigger 1 and 2 now. You know, see if a lot of characters just end up leaning.
Another thing is that I'm very fidgety, and you may have known that or noticed that just watching me today, like here, not just on this old video. It's super hard for me to keep in one spot constantly. It's always been like that. I have a hard time sitting still. So check out how often I'm like rocking back in my chair. I'm trying to move around a little bit. My feet are probably moving right now. Down there, you can't see.
Some of the characters that we
That's
thought
hard.
were weaker in season 1 ended up being stronger. Some of the characters that everybody thought Ryu was one of the best characters in season 1 at the start. And Nash as well.
Yes.
And by the end of season 1, I think many people thought Nash was mid-tier-ish.
Right.
Ryu, not bad, obviously. He's still probably high mid.
Ryu was still
but
good,
they weren't the top 2 in the game.
I don't think those chairs were comfortable. I think they were just regular old folding chairs. But honestly, I'd prefer that over like gamer chairs. I really hate those. Don't tell the Capcom Pro Tour, but I hate those so much. They're so uncomfortable.
All right, so that always occurs. People learn more about games as they develop, and the fact that Capcom is changing Street Fighter V once a year, more or less. There was a small patch in the middle of last year.
Right.
that's a year-long experiment process.
Yes.
Right? Seeing,
Yeah.
So you know what.
Man,
the
we had to
changes
fill
are,
a
but
lot of
how
time,
does
huh?
that impact matchups and gameplay and decisions.
Yeah, even in
Could be big.
season 2, when it started out, everyone thought.
My biggest issue with gamer chairs is that they pick your position for you. It's hard to squirm around. Like I said, I'm really squirmy. I'm moving all the time. So to be like kind of squeezed in a little spot is not comfortable. I hate it. Maybe that's part of why they do that. Like, so I imagine for other people that's comfortable. I hate it.
Like Yuri and Laura and Balrog were the best. And during the course of the year, a lot of people still thought they were super good, but they obviously didn't have the tournament impact that a lot of people were expecting. Of course, Urian did get nerfed a little bit in that mid-season patch. Had he not, he probably would have been a little bit more success, but even still, as good as he was really only Nemo and Dogura who
Yeah, I think they're engineered badly too.
that character,
I'm with you.
So, yeah, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen this season? Everyone keeps talking about Abigail, but if it's any indication, that means Abigail's not going to win any tournaments.
There you go. Yeah, I still think that he has some tough matchups. I don't think he doesn't rule everybody, but I do think he's very good overall. Yeah,
For sure.
and fun to play.
Okay, all right.
He can just be a jerk.
Trying to get the next matchup.
This is the last resort.
You can see the stream station is actually.
Last resort of I don't know what to talk about anymore.
I don't think he doesn't rule everybody, but I do think he's very good overall.
So I think that I would have preferred to just continue prattling on about characters, but
Yeah.
For sure.
that's the end. The end is the co-commentator says, for sure, okay, all right, and looks around.
And fun to play.
Okay.
Okay, oh, it's super over. I clearly want to keep talking about this. Not that I'd love to. I'd just get the game on, right? Like, let's move it. But if we're not going to be able to do that, then I'd rather keep prattling on.
Trying to get the next matchup set up over.
That's the last resort, is saying that we're trying to get the next matchup. Everybody knows it. Everybody watching knows that you're trying to get the next one up there. Nobody thinks like, wow, these guys just like hearing them talk. Everybody knows you're trying to get the next one up, but we didn't know, I'm sure, when the next one was coming up. I don't remember this specifically, but usually when we say that we don't know, we're just kind of like, don't have any more words to say and don't want the air to be completely dead.
Over here, you can see the stream station is actually right there. Right.
Yeah, and then it's like, all right, so here's the physical layout we're dealing with. I don't remember this, but I bet I say something like, all the games are being played over there. Let's see, come on.
Behind you, right there.
Yeah.
So that's where they're playing.
Well, Evo Japan, this is one of the first. I mean, obviously there have been big events here before.
Okay, all right, this didn't go as badly as I thought. Let's
This
see
is
where
one
this
of the
goes here.
Major first ones.
Right.
Right. This level, 2,200 players in Street Fighter V. Other games, 1,200 plus. Right. There's some logistical challenges that I'm sure are going to be worked on and gone through.
Exactly.
Well, that didn't go too well for Evo Japan 2019, did it?
So, no worries, we'll get a match for you guys up very soon, I'm sure. But in the meantime, hope you guys at home are enjoying it. Like I said, I know it's probably around.
Yeah, maybe this is the absolute last resort, hoping that you enjoy it at home. It's certainly a mix between, like, I hope you at home are enjoying tournament here where we are commentating from, or we'll try to get a match for you. It's like one of those two are like the worst. Yeah, it's a cry for help, yeah.
Like 7:30, 7:40 at in East Coast of the U.S. and of course about 4:40 in the West Coast.
Whew.
So thank you guys for taking the time.
That
to
is,
tune in and watch
we're
here. You
scraping
guys
the bottom of the
know
barrel.
It's gonna be a long day of Street Fighter.
Yeah, or if you're in Europe, it's already early morning for you, and that's
Nice.
you have an entire day.
Yeah, good stuff. So they have it. It's perfect for them, basically.
I think it probably is terrible. They're awake at like 2 or 3 in the morning right now.
Oh,
So.
oh wait. Oh, you mean that morning?
Oh, yeah,
like,
super early.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense because it's obviously morning here.
Yeah.
Can't be morning in Europe. Logic.
Not great right now.
Logic.
There you go.
Oh man.
No, but it is very nice to see how global participation here is. Just walking around the event, I've seen people who I recognize from.
I definitely started this thought without knowing where it was going to go. I think I probably wanted to say something like about the event. The event, what do you say about it? Right, I feel like that's probably how it went in my brain at this moment, because I'm definitely making it up on the fly.
Yeah.
Can't be morning in Europe. Logic.
There you go.
Oh man.
All right, so in my brain right now, panic. There's nothing to talk about. The event.
No, but it is very nice to see how global
What am I gonna say about it? It's global.
participation here is. Just walking around the event, I've seen people who I recognize from France and from Latin America and obviously from the U.S.
But honestly, this is. I think it's true to some extent. Big Don, who says that it's up to the TO to make sure the stream station has sufficient matches. I agree with that. By the way, there's also typically like a stream runner. There's somebody who's usually part of the broadcasting crew, streaming crew, whose job is to like corral players. But if they can't get anything, then it's the TO's fault. I don't remember what the holdup was this time. I don't remember in particular, but yeah, like somebody's dropping the ball somewhere for sure. It shouldn't be like this. But from our perspective, we don't have control over that. So we have to be prepared for not having things to talk about, for not having matches, maybe more accurately. We have to have things to talk about if there's no matches. So this is as much on us as it is on everybody else. Sure, I mean, we're in this situation because other people have dropped the ball, but we're the buck goes to us. We have to actually have stuff to say regardless for sure. And nobody will care. Nobody at home will care if I cop out right now and I say, look, I'm gonna level with everybody at home. We shouldn't have to deal with this as commentators. Nobody. What's that gonna do? That doesn't help anybody. That doesn't appease the people at home who are trying to just watch some video games. They don't care what the problem is, whether it's on us or it's on somebody else. Like, don't complain to me, David, right? And it also unnecessarily kind of puts the blame on whoever is screwing up, the TO or the streamer or whatever's going on. We have to be there to sort of catch the broadcast if things are going badly. That's on us. Yeah, look, I've had to do commentary by myself for a while too. In one way, it is easier. I would say it's easier in one way, which is to say that you don't have to sort of have this trade-off. Whenever a match comes back, I'll show you how that goes, right? You have to constantly be anticipating whether your co-commentator is going to talk or they're giving you signals that we want to talk, or you have to pay attention to that. So if it's just you don't have to. You can just keep talking, and you don't have this like co-op game side of things, right? You don't have to escort. It's not an escort mission, right? It's just you. So on that side, it's really easy. But the other side of it is that if you don't have something to say, nobody's there to catch you. You're just completely assed out, which makes it harder. So I feel like in one side it's easier, and one side it's harder. I prefer having a co-commentator, but I know people who would rather be by themselves too. I think that's on the individual. I certainly think for the broadcast, and I certainly think for the people at home, it's better if there's at least two commentators. I think it's very rare that somebody is actually as strong enough at commentating by themselves that they can really keep it up and have it be like engaging and interesting for a long period of time. I mean, how many people can really? There's Ken Bogard. Like anybody else? Can anybody else do that? I mean, I don't know. Not in a language that I understand, that I've listened to. Nobody in English or French that I know of. So yeah, it's hard for a long period of time anyway.
Interestingly, not just here. You know, there are so many attendees that walking around Tokyo yesterday, we saw some people, or people told us that they saw us.
Yes.
That's just how many people there are. It's a giant city, super dense. Everywhere you go is packed with people, and yet.
How many people live in Tokyo, David? This is. There are enough. Not worthwhile.
That we saw many of them just walking around.
Yeah, exactly. And, a lot of the players were talking about this. I saw this on social media.
Oh, maybe Eris is a good example of somebody in English who can keep it up for a long period of time. That might be true.
From a lot of other players that, you know, just walking around, they'll run into a bunch of other players and everything, and it's just like, it's interesting because, you know, you're in a complete foreign country, you're outdoors, and you're just like running into your friends everywhere you go, you know, almost by chance, and it's really cool. So, yeah. So,
This is
you know,
my I'm
complete
annoyed
foreign
smile.
country, you're outdoors, and you're just like running into your friends.
Yep, right there, where I like smile. Yeah, that's, I just backed it up 5 seconds. That's my real internal face. But
Because, you know, you're in a
yeah, this is definitely the, come on. Can we get a match? Come on. I'm like mad now.
complete foreign country.
So smile!
And you're just like running into your friends everywhere you go, you know, almost by chance. And
I don't even really know what to do at this point.
But again, if you guys want to, don't forget that on twitch.tv/evo.
Oh, personally, I try to read a lot about whatever area that I go to. I read all that I could in English about Fukuoka before going there, which honestly was not a tremendous amount. So, like, I read the Wikipedia page, I read some travel breakdowns, I read some history about Western Japan. At least at the time, I knew who the mayor was when I traveled there. Now I don't remember. Well, that wasn't even long ago. I should probably still remember, but I knew at the time. So I try to do that, but I'm just interested in that anyway. Like, it's just an excuse to look up some history. I want to do that about everything. So I do that, but I don't know how common that is. Like when I was at Evo Japan the previous year, this one that I'm reviewing right now, this is in Tokyo. So for that, oh dude, I read a lot. I read a book about it. I listened to a couple of documentaries about it. I had a podcast about Japanese history that I listened to while walking around Tokyo area. That was super cool. This is Tokyo, but the current year, this is from 2018. Current year Evo Japan 2019 was in Fukuoka.
The jump off is happening there. They're playing all sorts of different games there, so you can check that out on that channel. It looks like.
You got Tokido versus somebody.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, I'm so happy.
The Kuma matchup going over there right now.
Oh no, that's right. That was not on stream. Or maybe that was like on the jump off, I think, now that I think about it. Where I'm looking right now, off to the side, in my vision, there was the stage and a big screen and Tokido, and I could see them, and I desperately wanted to just, why didn't we get that one? You know, but
again, it looks like we have some players coming up to the station. Or...
I see MOV just behind me. We'll see if that indeed is what's going on.
Yep. Some players.
it definitely had organizational issues both years so far.
And again, yeah, if
was
people
tough.
are unawares, you know, Okay, so we're gonna have MOV versus Anchovy B.
So what happened there is that, you see where James looks? Yeah, we're looking here. We're looking at a monitor that has the game feed, it has the stream feed, it has a little text doc that says what's happening next. That's like the typical setup. So I guess it must have just come up on the text doc that we're gonna get.
Okay, so we're gonna have MOV versus Anchovy B.
Anchovy B.
But so MOV is gonna come up now. Here's a player right now. I'm really curious to see how MOV does, cause remember, top 8 finisher.
So I guess at this point I would classify this as being no longer filler commentary. Like, this is, now we're talking about the actual matchup coming up next. Now we have a player in mind to discuss. I don't know who Anchovy B is, fine, but there's so much stuff to say about MOV that I think now, in my mind, I no longer have to keep floating not knowing what I'm going to talk about. There's so much stuff to say about MOV. So I feel way more content.
With Chun-Li,
The program on there, yeah, exactly.
Was considered very highly nerfed between season 1 and season 2, to the point where she was like not a good character. And yet MOV fought against Bonchan Nash for 8th to get into top 8 at Evo, right? 2 characters a lot of people consider nerfed. However, in season 3, ooh, Chun-Li.
She's got some juice.
Chun-Li has some juice. The V-Trigger 2 is interesting. The air legs is +4 now, so she's got her damage back off of that. On hit, it's +4 now. She's got crush counter towards heavy kick now, which seems super good.
I'm with you.
And
No, she didn't always have that. I forgot.
Like I said, top 8 with a nerfed Chun, coming here in the season 3 with a significantly stronger Chun.
I think so too. I told myself once I found out what his name stands for, I'm not going to call him MOV anymore.
That's right.
So
I forgot about this.
Seeing Master of Vampires do well in this tournament.
Dude, I love it.
Master of Vampires.
I love
By the way, I've never found out if it's Master of Vampires or Master of Vampire.
it.
True.
I should probably know.
That's really what it stands
Yes,
for.
that's really what it stands for, and I guess he just he likes his vampires. He loves his gothic culture kind of thing. So yeah, MOV coming up here. Like I said,
Because
really
I feel like that means a big difference. Is it Master of Vampires? In which case, yeah, maybe he is interested in Romanian history circa 1700. Or wait, no, that was early, right? Vlad? That might have been 14s. Anyway, I don't remember. Or is it Master of Vampire Savior, right? Those are two super different
strong
things.
player with Chun-Li already, so really curious to see how he's going to enjoy this and see if he actually has any V-Trigger 2 tech, or is he going to stick with V-Trigger 1 for now?
You know, what I expect from Master Vampires is that
I'm
and I
Googling
think
it
from
now.
people in
I'm
general,
interested.
Is to stick with what they know, right?
Unless there's a significant
1400s, okay.
In some cases, there will be
Hey.
significant benefits to having V-Trigger.
1431 to
But I
1476.
think
Dang.
For the most part, I'm looking for people to do what they do. You know, there's so much riding on this. You don't want to go into Evo Japan not well.
So yeah, this is definitely match commentary at this point. Well, you know, you treat it differently than the actual game. It's still filler. Like if there's a Venn diagram of what's going on, there's filler and then match, and then this is the little bit in between.
A lot of people just stick with V-Trigger 1s or whatever characters.
I want to go back and see how long we were
working
actually
on some
there in
new
real time
characters now.
until the match
Sort of stick with
starts.
it, but we'll see.
My mistake. I thought it was Ancho BB. It's Ancho BB.
Yes.
Ancho BB. So here we go. So it is going to be Graft MOV. And again, shout outs to Team Graft again. These guys are a group of players who really believe in esports in Japan. And they have done that by sponsoring a lot of players early on, allowing them to travel. I've talked to some of the guys who run Graft before, and you know they told us that that's just their goal, is to try to promote esports here
Interesting.
in Japan. So
Sorry. Listen to James' commentary
they
here.
have done that by
Listen how long he keeps like kind of a monotone.
a lot of players early on, allowing them to travel. I've talked to some of the guys who run Graft before, and you know they told us that that's just their goal, is to try to promote.
And then he gets
esports
out of it.
here in Japan.
I wonder why he did that.
Very exciting times.
Well, here's Evo Japan. This is the time.
Yep, and it is. MOV is going to be what. You know, I love that they act.
Okay, so the match is starting, right? What time is it now? This is 21:48 in the video. How long were we there? I feel like it was a good 10 minutes.
That's true. You will always know what time that video
longer.
took place, regardless of when it was uploaded.
Wow, we were there for like 12 minutes, huh?
To go through loser's side.
That's a
looks
while.
Like, they are updating the pools live.
That's really unusual, but
It's
oh
Ancho
well.
BB.
Yes.
Again, I feel like I liked the first match that we did. Who was that? Moke and Jobin? Yeah. But then that filler definitely could have been better. Yeah, we needed to have been more prepared, I think. But anyway.
It's just their goal, is to try to promote esports. Regardless of when.
And all of a sudden, it said the next day on a match.
Regardless of when it was uploaded.
Well, I'll tell you how it's been useful for me so far. I was grinding on SF5 one night, and all of a sudden, it said the next day on a match that I played next, and I was like, okay, I'm out of here. Fine. Last match.
But
I remember
Ancho
that.
BB going with Juri, a character who wasn't very strong in Season 1 nor Season 2, but some people consider it a little bit improved now, so a lot of little...
Dude, Capcom has really believed in their jury design. They haven't significantly changed her this entire time, huh? I think she's pretty good. I wouldn't say that she's not bottom tier for sure. She's not top tier for sure. She's like pretty good. And that's cool enough, I suppose. I don't know. They seem to think so in any case.
Nice quality of life changes, like her target combo hits crouchers now.
Right.
And a good start for Ancho BB right now. Has a life lead, got the knockdown, combos into the EX. Okay, here we go. And yeah, you're right. MOV definitely going with V-Trigger 1 and Ancho BB going with V-Trigger 1 as well.
Well, I like that Jury V-Trigger 1 is 2 bars now. I think that's...
Oh, dang, that was good timing.
Oh, he baited it out, so he's going to get the first round. So great start right now.
So when there's this moment
Jury V-Trigger 1 is 2 bars now. I think
of the EX and it's blocked.
Oh, he baited it out, so he's going to get the first round. So great start right now for Ancho BB.
I'm always trying to anticipate whether I should be the one to be like, whoa, yada, 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 or should that be the co-commentator? I think I just read the situation wrong here. Let me see. Was James talking before? Let me see.
All right, MOV definitely going with V-Trigger 1 and Ancho BB going with V-Trigger 1 as well.
Well, I like that Jury V-Trigger 1 is 2 bars now. I think that's pretty significant.
Oh, he baited it out. So
Okay, so the reason that I thought that I should be the one to like go, whoa, and then it's my turn to talk, was that I had been talking, and it felt to me like a natural, hey, I'm the one talking right now. Whoa, check it out. Like, it just seemed like it was my turn. I don't know. But, you know, you can't get that always right. And certainly I like step on James sometimes too, or whoever it is. Like, you know, that's just gonna be, it's like a guessing game. You know, you don't get every mix up right. But as soon as I heard that James was talking, that he was like, whoa, also, that's cool. You know, he can do it. Let him talk.
The first round, so great start right now.
Exactly, Olaf. I thought it was my turn.
Back and forth a little bit, see if MOV, dang it, Master Vampires can pick it up. It's hard. I'm going against a lot of years of ossification.
Yeah, I
right
know.
Ossification, wow.
Master Vampire.
Woo! The link, very close to stun. Went for the overhead.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The DP safe setup.
Oh,
Missed that. He was
buddy.
a little bit closer than he thought, so a little bit less damage than he was hoping for. Oh, man. Oh, he got the link off.
Yeah, that was
of
pretty
it.
sick. So, do you see how, in this situation, like, something kind of cool is going to happen. James was talking, so
Missed that. He was a little bit closer than he thought, so a little bit less damage than he was hoping for. Oh, man. Oh, he got the link off of it.
So, like, that's cool. And one of us has to be like, that's cool. I think it's cool, too. Like, I'm not the one talking, but I'm sure I was like, wow, pretty sick. Because right now I was like, wow, pretty sick. But I thought that it was James's turn to keep going, so I'm glad that he took advantage of that. Nicely done. Boop. Boop.
Excellent pressure. MOV just ruled that one.
Yeah, MLB with a perfect in round number 2, so good recovery on his part.
But very fast start here from Ancho BB. Dashing forward and making it happen. Anti-airs are on point.
So
Dang, those
remember,
are
if you
fast
ever get a
words.
Perfect. There's never a reason why you can't do it again in the middle of a round for a comeback. So MLB now with V-Trigger 1 activated, going in heavily. Look at this pressure right now.
Oh, it was
that
air
was,
legs.
yeah, that was supposed to be.
Working on stun. Next mix-up.
Oh, yeah. See, right there, he waited half a second to make sure he didn't.
I thought that was
do the
good turn
wake up.
taking.
So remember,
Yeah, that's too much.
comeback. So MLB now with V-Trigger 1 activated, going in heavily. Look at this pressure right now.
Oh, it was
that
air
was,
legs.
yeah, that was supposed to be.
Working on stun. Next
Yeah,
mix-up.
okay.
Oh, yeah. See, right there, he waited half a second
So I teed
to
it
make
up.
sure he didn't do the wake up pinwheel, and then he went for the throw. Kind of like an auto option select. You wait, throw, you
Just
know.
patience.
Auto option select. Yeah, did you see how, like, I was talking, then James talked, then I was talking, and I said, next mix-up. If you say that, the co-commentator should know that it's their turn to talk. Because I feel like that's clearly like a tee it up, next mix-up, you know? And James understood that. Shoutouts. But that is a really important part of commentating, is knowing like when to not talk over, or when to talk, I guess is just a better way to put it. You don't want to talk over the other person very often. You don't want to get talked over. That also sucks. You want to make sure that you have plenty of time to say what you care about saying, and that so does the other person. But that means that you have to know what you want to talk about. Like, what do you care about commentating? What's an important thing for you? How often does that come up? It can't be constantly, because then the other person doesn't get a chance to talk. They're missing out. They feel bad. So it's constantly a trade-off, and that is super fundamental to commentating with anybody else, whether it's with another person or two or three we do sometimes now. You really have to know, and that is easiest for sure if you have commentated with that person before. But like I mentioned before, you don't always have that. Sometimes you're commentating with somebody new or somebody who you don't often commentate with. And the way that I approach that is by trying to like categorize commentators. And I will certainly listen to a lot of fighting game commentary, even when I'm not commentating, right? So even people who I haven't commentated with much or at all, I have an idea about how they approach stuff. And so I have like a conception in my mind about how they're going to do things, and I will fit myself to that. So if it's somebody who I think likes to be the one to like exclaim, like that, if there's a cool moment, they want to be the person who is like, wow, that was cool, or whatever, whatever their way of doing it is. People have very different ways of doing it. There are people who like to do that. There are also people who would rather be the one who gives like the info. Oh, that was +2. That was -4. He could have done X or Y option, right? Like something like that. People have different conceptions, and it goes beyond that too. Do you want to talk for a long time and then it's the other person's for a long time? Or should we be constantly firing? I say 2 words, you say 3 words, like very fast. There are people who like to, so I think about this like fighting games, right? There are people who like to control the pace. There are people who set the neutral. That's what they want to do. And then in those cases, you have to kind of play footsies with them a little bit and see what they're willing to give up on. You got to jump in there a little bit. You got to be in the uncomfortable zone a little bit. You have to make sure that you're not just getting rushed into the corner. Or even if it's not rush, maybe you can't just always walk backwards, even if it's slowly. That's bad news for you. So you have to be willing to like go toe-to-toe in the nooch. But that's not to say that that means that you're always the one talking. This is not to say that you should be battling with them over who gets to talk. It's if they like to be the one who sets the pace, you can be okay with that, but make sure that you are getting in there in other ways. That's what I mean by like battling in the nooch, is that maybe then you're the one who like exclaims. Now you're the person who's like, oh, that was wild because, oh, I can't believe it. Whatever. Tell some joke. You have to have that ability too. Or, there are people who like taking their turn a lot. They like to take, maybe more accurately, your turn. They want to hop in there at unpredictable moments. And that can be kind of funny. It can be kind of cool, but it's a harder thing to get a handle on. Just like how in fighting games, some people really are all about the mix-up, right? Just doing the thing. And even if that is sometimes harmful for them, like they go out on a limb too often, and then maybe that's bad news for them sometimes. But on the other hand, it can be exciting. It can be really effective if the opponent doesn't expect it in a match. Commentary is the same. So I'm thinking about all these things before I sit down to commentate with somebody. With people like James, Steven and Steve, like I've commentated with them so many times, it's easy. It's not something I think about anymore. But if it's somebody who I'm commentate with less often, I commentated with F-Word at EVO Japan this year. We have done it before, but like rarely, only a couple of times. Even though I like him a lot. Like you just haven't had that many situations, right? He lives in London. I live in Los Angeles. It doesn't come up. But I have in my mind like what I think F-Word does. Like what is the F-Word style? And so when I sat down, I was like, all right, like I'll fit myself to this. He likes to be the exclaimer sometimes. He likes to take his turn sometimes. Like he likes to. He's like rarely the pace setter. He's maybe more of the other guy. I thought it went great. I thought it went well. I haven't re-listened to it. Maybe I should, to know, because sometimes when I think it goes well, it doesn't go well. It's like actually bad. I'll take a listen to that. But that was my thought going in. Anyway. What commentator do I think has the most interesting small talk? Interesting question. I'm not sure. I'll think about that. Interesting question. Anyway.
Over crazy about things. He had a nice situation for himself there, especially once you are.
He does like to say, "Oh my days," but that's not really what I mean when I say that you have to like think about it in advance. Everybody's gonna deal with that moment differently. He'll say whatever he says, right? Rago, I don't know. I'll say something else, but that's not super important. Like it matters. Like that's for the listener, obviously. But from a co-commentator perspective, I just need to know that he's gonna be the one who like says the thing. And if so, then that's cool. Like that's enough for me. Whatever he ends up saying is cool as long as it's like good, right? Which he is. So that's just something to know.
You know, you can afford to play just a little bit. Ancho maybe much slower start here.
Yeah, I expect Chuns to use the air legs a lot more because before, it was minus on block. But the thing is, on plus, you got so little out of it. It was like light kick into lightning legs. It was like 100 and some damage. But now you can actually get the 200 damage that you got before, so the reward is far more worth it. So I feel like it's a tool that we'll see Chun-Li's bringing back.
Sure, makes sense. V-trigger already there for Jerry. See that 2-bar V-trigger? That's a big deal.
So am I saying...
More worth it. So I feel like it's a tool that we'll see Chun-Li's bringing back.
Sure, makes sense.
I say this, sure, it makes sense, because it's gone on for too long. And now it's time to move on to something else, and I want to make that clear. Let's get out of here. Next topic. It's also like a turn stealer. Like I just he thought that he could press a slow button, but I like jabbed him out of it, right? That's maybe the way to think about this. And now because I did that, it's my turn, so I'm gonna talk for a little bit.
Already there for Jerry.
You see, he tried to talk a little bit, but I was.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
It was happening.
Using up a little bit of it. Yep. Canceling. There it is. It's gone.
She
But
can
you
get
can
twice.
get another one. Yep.
Yeah, it's possible.
Ooh, reach. The concept medium kick got that range. Okay.
MOV trying to be patient. Oh, they both dashed forward at the same time. They both thought it was time to move.
MOV walking backwards on his wake up, causing Ancho BB to miss his throw.
Now Ancho BB, yeah, I love it. He saw the situation that he had. MOV needed to move forward. Ancho BB put up a wall. But, one of the things that works the best when you've established a wall is your own forward movement all of a sudden.
All right, well, Ancho BB took first round last game too, but then MOV came right back with a perfect and then took round number 3. So see if he can get anything going. Well, it's not going to be a perfect.
I don't have any big critiques right now.
I do think that Ancho BB has settled it down a little bit. Okay, he's getting pressure now. Wow, thrown out of the corner.
Yeah, back throw. So yeah, there you go. Ancho BB knew he had that turn, so he's going to take it after the air legs. Here we go, pressure. Oh, he tried to back off. Looks like he tried to bait a throw. Didn't quite get it.
MLB with trigger.
Nice.
Next combo's into super. This is very dangerous now. Yes!
There it is.
Is that enough?
It is enough. Ancho BB taking game number 2 over MOV.
That was maybe not the
He
best.
started to settle down a little. Yes!
There it is.
Is that enough?
The problem with
Next combo's
this
into super. This is very dangerous
weight right
now.
here,
Yes!
There it is.
Is that enough?
is that we both just talked. We both just did the thing of like what's gonna happen, or more or less, right? And now I don't know which one of us is supposed to talk after that.
It is enough. Ancho BB
Yeah.
taking
I didn't know.
number 2 over
I guess James
MOV.
didn't either.
Yeah, it seemed to me like he started to settle down a little.
But I think it's probably better to err on the side of like we'll both talk and then none of us talk. That's probably better.
Get some better timings, better spacings in the first game.
Just got to do a better job of like knowing who's gonna do what when. It's,
He was a little bit more deliberate, a little bit slower. That seemed to work out better. See if MLB has the answer.
You wouldn't mind if small talk revolved around making sports references. I think there is definitely things to compare with sports and FGs. Well, I think I agree that there are points of comparison, but I don't think it'd be worthwhile personally to talk about sports. I mean, I guess it depends on what kind of references you're talking about. Should we be talking about like how the Lakers are doing or how the Ducks are doing? Probably not, right? That's probably not a useful thing to do. If people are interested in that, then there's like way too many other avenues, and you don't log into a fighting game stream, I think, to hear about that. Maybe if you mean something else, maybe some other sort of sports reference. James likes to talk about, like, I don't even know how to phrase it. The like will to win kind of stuff, which I kind of think is hokey myself, but he places a lot of stock in. And that's cool. Like, whatever. I mean, if it's not something that I like place a lot of credence in myself, it's like a good talking point. I think I recognize that. So that kind of stuff I understand. But when it comes to like discussing sports, teams, whatever, probably not, I feel. But let me know if you think differently. I'm open. Bam.
All right. See if MOV can turn things around for himself here.
Air legs missed again.
3. Yeah. He keeps neutral jumping by accident instead of forward jumping. Can't do air legs on neutral jump. There we go. And no pressure from Ancho BB after blocking it too, which is interesting.
Yeah, hasn't taken. Well, that's not much of a risk if Chun doesn't have EX.
Ooh. Whoa,
What a throw. That's weird.
It's like she extended herself into that range to get thrown. Oh
Ooh,
boy,
lick it,
activation.
yes.
Yeah, it's going to get some decent damage off of that.
Okay, it was the right
wake
time.
up.
In situations like this,
Whoa,
going back
that was
to
a-
sort of trading off. Let's listen to this again.
It's like she extended herself into that range to get thrown. Oh
Ooh,
boy,
lick it,
activation.
yes.
Yeah.
So, in my saying that, I guess I would expect that now I'm going to be the next one to talk. However,
It's like she extended herself into that range to get thrown. Oh
Ooh,
boy,
lick it,
activation.
yes.
Yeah, it's going to get...
James says, yeah. And that's fine. So like that I think the meaning of that to me is he's still going to talk. And that's okay. I do the same thing sometimes, but so there's constantly this little tug, right? Who's going to go next? Who's going to go next? I don't think we typically have like a great reason for why we do one or the other, usually, unless it's really been lopsided and then you want to talk more or less. And it hasn't been. So I don't know, like, if I can articulate why I want to talk in any one moment. Obviously, neither of us knows what's going to happen. If you don't know what's going to happen, then there's like you can't predict like, oh, I want to be the one to say, oh, that's cool when he like kills with a sick V-trigger combo. You don't know that. You don't know what's happening next. So I don't have a great reason for wanting to talk at any one moment other than I just get antsy, maybe, is the best way to put. Like, I just feel like I should be talking every brief while. But that's it. It's just a very general idea. I don't have any kind of, like, number of seconds or goal in mind other than that.
Some decent damage off of that.
Okay, it was the right
wake
time.
up,
And
yep.
Triggers there. Activates. Oh, that could be big. Wow. Went for the grab. Still very close to doing it.
Yeah, here we go. That's
It's
going to be able
enough.
to do it. Ancho BB.
This is a good match.
Match point over MOV. We already saw one top 8 EVO 2017 finisher almost get sent to losers.
Right.
But we have that. We're one round away from having that happen to the second one we've seen on stream today.
And this is the first match for MLB.
Ooh. What a rough draw for him here.
Okay, starting off well. He's got the corner for himself. Gotta watch out for super.
Oh, there's that a setup that towards medium punch automatically pushes you out of throw range.
This Ranger, yes, it finally came.
Oh, yeah.
It finally came. But MLB was playing at such a smart range, it was just a little bit outside of Button's range. So if Ancho BB had woken up with something like a jab, MLB would be safe. But he could still walk
Listen to
forward
the-
and get a grab
Sorry.
very quickly, or put a media of his own out if he wanted.
Yeah, I had to be done right then. Like, that could not keep going on. Listen to the different, like,
Yes,
types of
finally
voice.
came.
Oh, yeah. Punch automatically pushes you out of throw
Ooh,
range.
this Ranger, yes, it finally came.
Oh, yeah.
It finally
So
came.
there's like this very,
MLB was playing at such a smart range.
I wish I had the words. My voice went up and down, and it had that kind of heightened quality to it. And you do that, I mean, it's no mystery, because that was a cool moment, and it was the end of the round. And I want to, like, put a stamp on that. But then when it comes to this,
It was just a little bit outside of Button's range.
basically monotone,
And so if Ancho BB had woken up with something like a jab, MLB would be safe, but he could still walk forward and get a grab very quickly, or put a media of his own out if he wanted.
this is like an interstitial thing. So I'm trying to get out the thought, and I don't, and it's not like a time-sensitive thought. It's just, I want to get it out. I think it's like interesting maybe, but it's not. It's certainly not like time-based. It's not a hype thing. It's just like sort of a summation of what happened. then a way to do that is just to talk kind of monotone. You don't have to think about what's coming up next in terms of the up or the down. It's easier to do. For me, anyway. And then at the end of the sentence, yeah, you go up or down depending on whatever the thing is. So that tone is a big deal. But that's why there's such a variation in that.
Draw for him here.
At least on my end.
Starting off well. He's got the
I think
turn.
James does the same.
Gotta watch out for super.
Oh, there's a setup that towards medium punch automatically pushes you out of throw range.
This ranger, yes, it finally came.
Oh, yeah.
It finally came. But MLB was playing at such a smart range, it was just a little bit outside of Button's range. So if UltraDavid had woken up with something like a jab, MLB would be safe, but he could still walk forward and get a grab very quickly or put a meaty of his own out if he wanted.
Maybe not the best ending tone. That probably should have gone down as like a declarative statement maybe, but you know, it's not that bad either. But that's why. Is that called inflection? Isn't that something I should know, right? God. James and I took one voice lesson last year, and we intended to like keep it up, and we didn't. And part of why I wanted to do it was to like get this knowledge of what I'm even talking about. Like I'm thinking about this stuff, right? But I don't know the words. So I'm thinking about it in ways that I'm sure are stunted compared to if I actually had the vocabulary and was like grounded in the theory of it more. Because we're not inventing it, right? It's just people have been commentating anything for a long time, and they've been speaking and performing forever. I should know this stuff. But we didn't keep it up. And maybe we should this year. So all we got through was like breathing techniques, which I found was helpful, but was not like not the meat that I wanted to get into. That was just kind of the grounding of it. But I want to know more. Have you tried something like just one commentator doing play-by-play and another doing color? Well, not explicitly, but I've certainly done that. An example is with Yipes is a good example. We tend to take those roles because I know he's so sick at like the exciting part, like the hyping it up part, and I want to let him do that. I'm not gonna like jump in on that versus Yipes. Like he should be the one doing that for sure. So in those situations, I take on the role of the play-by-play more often, right? Like, so going back to like playing a match against him, if we were doing that, I would be the one trying to set the pace, and then he's the one who is trying to like rush down and get the cool mix up, right? So I've done that. And I feel that it works all right, but I wouldn't want that to always be the case. I feel like that's a bit stunted and maybe not necessary. I don't know the real history of it, but I've always thought that was just more a product of how radio and TV happened to develop. I don't think that there's any inherent advantage in having a set play-by-play person versus analysis person. I really think that's just like an accident of history that we've all been so accustomed to, and I don't think that it's necessary. So I find it's more fun for me if there's this little mix going on and we're constantly jockeying. I think that's fun, and I think that comes across in commentary too. I think that's fun for the person listening. I mean, I'm so like absorbed in it that it's hard for me to view these things as somebody who's not engaged in it. I'm like too in it. But I think that that's a lot of fun. So whatever we give up in terms of knowing who's gonna say what when, there's value in that. Whatever we give up in that, I feel that we more than make up for in having more interesting things to say, more interesting moments between the two of us, or three or four of us, whatever it is. And I'd rather do that. I'd rather keep that up. Oh, what up, y'all? Good to see you. Dang, thanks for the bits. I don't think I've set up... Wait, did anything happen when that happened? I don't think I set up like the show up bits thank you thing on stream. But thank you! What's the industry standard for the length of an esports commentary reel? Dang, dude. I have no idea. I figured I'd make mine like 10 minutes. I made a previous one. Let me see what that was. I made one a few years ago. It was 6 minutes and 28 seconds long. I don't know. Is that standard? I really don't know. Excuse me. Ooh, boy. Oh, man. What up, hot dog? All right, let's get going. Dude, even if you don't have that much footage, that's fine. Just, you can make that. I think that's worthwhile. Yeah. Totally.
All right, dashing under here. So now both players at match point. So close here. Round one.
It's always interesting too to go back and listen to myself commentate, because I'm interested in now in the same things I was interested in a year ago. It's only a year ago.
Now both players at match point.
As soon as I saw this now in real life, I thought, wow, what an interesting overhead. Why would he do that?
So close here. Round one.
Right? And then I hear myself from the previous year say the same thing. I've heard this going back like to the beginning of commentary that I did, because I've listened to times from the first like year or two, and I think there's like a lot of problems and things that I have identified that I needed to iron out, that I think in many cases I did iron out. But even still, there's moments where I think in the future compared to my old self, the same thought that I had 8 or 9 years ago. I don't know, you change, but you're not such a different person, at least me. Dang, oh yeah, okay. So for acting and voice acting, it's no longer than 1 minute, as close to 1 minute as possible. Mostly influenced by casting directors, which I don't think are in esports yet. They are not in esports yet. There are people who, I guess, sort of de facto have that role, but it's one of many roles, and it's not their only role. Like for probably the fanciest operation that I've worked with is E-League, Turner, which is a TV station. They didn't have the person who was the casting director, but there was definitely the person who kind of made those choices. They just weren't. They had plenty of other things going on too. Yeah, I don't think that's such a big deal in esports yet. I'd be curious if that even exists for Turner when it comes to sports commentary in general, or ESPN. Maybe ESPN has it. I don't know though. Is that like one person's job? I don't know how they do it. I'd be very interested to know. Anyway, interesting to hear that it's 1 minute in that stuff. I don't know how much you get out of that in 1 minute, right? How many things can you really get out? And part of the it may be that it's kind of comparing apples to oranges, because when I put together a commentary reel, part of it is that I'm not constantly talking on the reel. I'm listening to my commentator because I'm trying to show that I can also do that. I'm not the only one chatting, that I can work with somebody else too. And I'm also trying to show in the reel what I'm reacting to. So there needs to be the setup of what happens that I then go nuts about, or that I then illuminate, or whatever. So I'm not able to sort of cut it down to tiny bites. That's my take on it anyway. But I don't know how long other people's are. Let's go.
Here in Evo Japan of their pools.
Also, BB has already won a match, but this is the first one for MOV.
Oh,
okay, pressure.
Okay, gotcha. Yep, and right there you see he's got the much more damaging combo.
Ooh,
not
look
quite.
at the stun. Yes, he went for his own. He went in hard.
He just delayed it for a little bit, and he's gonna get max damage here. One more mix-up now for MOV.
MOV. Oh, okay.
Okay, here we go.
You can see he's playing patiently. He's taking the grabs.
Yep.
I was definitely thinking that in real life too.
At the perfect spot, MOV does it. He's gonna move on.
The Master of Vampires moves on to the next round here in his pool.
So on the block. Okay.
Okay, here we go.
You can see he's playing patiently. He's taking the grabs.
Yep.
He's just going to block. Hey, at the perfect spot, MOV does it.
The
He's going to move on.
Master of Vampires moves on to the next round here in his pool.
Even in moments like that where we talk over each other, I think that's okay. I think that it's probably ideal if we don't, but maybe there may be situations where it's better. That's something I'll think about. Are there situations where I would rather us both talk than just one? I don't know. I'll have to think about that. My gut says no, but I haven't really considered it before. Maybe it's more compelling if we both talk. I don't know. Think about it. The logic for casting directors is if they have 60 applicants, then they could conceivably get through all of them in an hour. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. If that's your job and you need to be efficient about it, I suppose I understand. But yeah, I think a concert is a good way to put it. When it comes to commentary, you have to both be, or however many number of people, you have to sort of show that you can work with them, and it's not just a solo project. But in addition to that, there's nobody who needs to constantly be making these decisions in fighting game commentary. There's nobody whose day is who commentates what. That's a decision that gets made at some point, but it's not a full-time gig by itself. Not even close, right? How many times do we commentate a year? Maybe the most of us, maybe like Steven or Steve, will do 40 weekends a year, 35 or something like that. God, that sounds horrible. But that's what they do. So there's like a tournament most weekends. Even still, that does not require a full-time job on anybody's side to make. And a lot of those are not the same crew that's even making the choices. So there's nobody whose time is so precious that it needs to be 1 minute. You don't consider it talking over each other if you both started talking at the same time? I do. I do consider that myself. To be talking over each other. It would be extra weird, you're definitely right, if somebody were to hear the other person talking and then begin talking themselves. That's not good. That's worse. But I think those both count as talking over each other.
So UltraDavid will go down to losers. Like I said, he had to face another opponent in the very first round. He beat Dump.
He beat Dump?
He beat Dump.
Dump or Dumb?
I'm saying Dump.
Dump. Okay,
Oh
okay.
yeah, no, that's the name.
Nice.
He beat
okay.
Dump in the first round, but then MOV, of course, just moved on there.
Yeah, so he took care of Dump in round 1 and then came against MOV, but unfortunately, he was the one that got dumped, and he is now in loser's bracket. Master of Vampires moves on, but you can see right here, no
I'm
free
so mad.
matches.
No, yes.
Free matches. It
Yes.
is
I'm probably thinking in my head right there, that's such a wasted opportunity. How could you set up a joke about Dump and bring in number 1 and not close with number 2? It's so obvious. Could have been better. Could have been a lot better.
scary times
I'm
right
telling
now. Oh man. But so we've had two good matches again. To start off, we had 2 top 8 Evo finishers from 2017 here. Both of them almost, coming close. Coming close. But coming up next, that we're gonna have on stream is gonna be Momochi.
Oh, okay. As we said, he won his own single elim tournament last night. He looked very good.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to see him here. I have to go do actual work. And although I'm sick today and I'm not doing a ton of substantial work, I do got some stuff to do. So I have to go take it. I'll probably also not talk for like that many hours. Dude, once James, look, James gets a lot of jokes right. I'm not going to be critical about it. He does a great job. But
Losers bracket. Master of Vampires moves.
Wait, how long ago was this?
In round 1, and then came against
Dump.
Dump. Okay.
Oh
okay.
yeah, no, that's the name.
Nice.
He beat
okay.
Dump in the first round, but then MOV, of course, just moved on there.
Yeah, so he took care of Dump in round 1, and then came against MOV, but unfortunately, he was the one that got dumped, and he is now in losers bracket. Master of Vampires moves on, but you can see right here, no free matches.
No.
it's not time anymore for me to continue the joke. It's over. Like, it'd be weird now if after he finished the joke, then he moves on to the next thought, then I'd be like, hold on, buddy, back it up there. You can't do that. Time has passed. Time has passed. It's an afternoon on Friday. Yeah, but I mean, it's it's, what is it, almost 2 p.m. here, and I haven't done any law work today, and I got a buttload to do, so I better go take care of that. But thanks a lot for hanging out, everybody. My intention was to review a bunch of my own commentary, to pick for a commentary reel, and I got through 29 minutes and 16 seconds of one video. By the way, what a time to stop. Look at this expression up there. What is going on? So not the most efficient use of time when it comes to picking a reel, but I just thought I'd use the opportunity to talk about my own commentary and thoughts on it. I want to get back into the habit of doing that. I haven't done it in a while. So thanks a lot, y'all. Thanks for hanging out for some time. Man, look at my sub goal. I'm almost there. So close. Not quite. Shout outs to Crispus Attucks, the first casualty in the American Revolutionary War, and Pio Pico, an important figure in California history when it was with Mexico, was governor of the state at the time, and also John Mercer Langston, an influential person in the mid-1800s who was one of the first, or maybe the first, licensed African-American attorney. Alrighty, see y'all. Boo.